Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Welcome to Startup Grind.
Thanks.
We love to start these events. I'm going to just speak loudly. We love to start these events with just getting to know you a little bit. Tell us about where you grew up. Tell us about what your parents did for work. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, it's a bit embarrassing, but I have nothing special to tell you about myself. I was not in 8200, which is the famous intelligence team, where many of the guys here probably came from. I was not the chief of anything. I was a regular guy working to Technion, which was quite a good school. Went to what is called in Hebrew Atuda. It's those guys that the geeks that are going to study before they are going to the army to serve as engineers, but luckily, I did have a very interesting service. Actually, served in tanks, in artillery, in the Navy, Air Force, intelligence, and communication. So I was very diversified Army service. I was a lucky guy getting to the right place at the right time, born at the right year, 1955, which is the year that
what was right? What's special about that year?
There is a great book about being born that talks about being born at the right time. As you probably know, Steve Jobs, Larry Ellison, whoever, all these old guys in technology were actually born in about 18 months. And it's being really lucky to be born at this year because we were the guys that really get to know computers while computers came to the market. So actually, we were the fresh blood, the fresh guys that actually came when computers actually became something that people began using. So we could be entrepreneurs. We could be the guys who know better than the older guys. The ones who came after us, they all defaced us. And Bill Gates established Microsoft, Larry Ellison, Oracle, and I established M Systems. Eli Harari, SanDisk is a bit older, but it's all this generation that actually create this first wave of high tech. Then there was a second wave. Now there is coming the third wave.
How did you first get exposed to computers and engineering? I mean, what do you remember the first system that you ever played with? Do you remember the first person that ever introduced you to that?
Okay, sure. So when I was in the 11th grade, I studied in school, very good school in a place called Ramat Gan, and they sent students, which were relatively the good ones, to study in Tel Aviv University. And Tel Aviv University has special courses for such children, and they actually opened a class of computers. And everybody wanted to go to this class, and the class was very small, only 30 students. So we went about 5-6 people from my school. I was the lucky guy, and I really was the lucky guy who was accepted to this special class. Everybody wanted to go to this class, and it's all the area of Tel Aviv. There were many other classes like physics, math, biology, but everybody wants to go there. I was lucky to get there, and when I got there, the teacher was terrible. The teacher was so bad. Actually, the first class he gave, he taught a language called Fortran, and the first class was, I'm going to solve now an equation of 4 dimension of in the Euclid's sphere with 14 ingredients. I didn't understand the question he wanted to solve. And he didn't bother to even explain what he does. After stating that this is what he's going to solve, he went to the board and began to scratch those formulas, and I was sitting there. So after 2 weeks, from the 30 guys, there were only 10 guys left. 8 were genius guys. Actually, I met all of them later on in Technion and other places. And 2, which was me and another lady, came there because I came because I was in love with her. And I have no idea why did she come. So that's my experience with computers. You know, the funny thing in this course is that we had a test. At the end of the year, we had a test. And I came to the test, you know, you have to come to a test. I was born to a Polish mother, so you can't just ignore tests. So I went to the test, and the test had actually 2 questions. One question I didn't understand at all, so I don't remember what was the question. The second question, it's a test of about an hour and a half, was solve the problem of putting 8 queens in a chess board. Okay? 8 queens, put 8, how the computer should solve the problem of putting 8 queens at the chessboard. Well, it's a problem that afterwards in the Technion, in the 4th year of Technion, people took it as a whole semester project, and you know, if they succeeded, they got great. I had no clue how to get into that, but I just wrote, you know, while I is equal 1 to 8, a row of I equals then, and it looks amazing. It just was full of crap, yes? But I got the award as the guy who was #1 in this course. So and really I didn't understand anything. So after you get the award, you cannot not to learn computers. So of course I went to learn computers in the Technion. That's my experience.
It's just like mine, almost identical. It's not. Tell me about Technion, and it's famous around the world. In Silicon Valley, where I'm from, it is talked about and respected as much as I would say in MIT, or you know, it is put in that. What makes Technion so special? Why has it become world class? Why, you know, what is different about it? What experience did you get there that helped propel you to success? And by the way, can you hear Dov in the back? Are you guys okay? Thank you. Okay.
Okay. I'll tell you the truth. Well, my story is I was supposed to go, in 1973, I was supposed to go to a short time, 3 months of Tironut, basic camp, basic training in the army. The date I was supposed to go was October 16, 1973. Israelis knows what's this date. And the Yom Kippur War, it was 10 days after the beginning. So they actually drafted us, they took us to a very fast, in a very fast course I became tank driver. After 9 months...
Because if you're going to do anything and rush through it, tank driving is probably the best thing, right?
The answer is because they didn't have tank drivers, and they needed tank drivers very urgently. So it didn't matter if you were smart, idiot, whatever, tank driver. And I went to Technion, and the first semester, I must tell you, I worked very hard. Technion is a place which is so successful because the demands from the students are very high. You have to work very hard. You have to do a lot of homework. It's very difficult to study while you are learning. So it's difficult to get in, and I wouldn't say it's difficult to finish it, but once you are there, they expect you to work for them. But then, after 1 semester, which wasn't amazing, I understood that it's not for me. It's actually, all the lessons, I was going to the lesson, it was very boring. And probably if I was analyzed today, they would analyze me as ADHD or something like that. So after 1 semester, I went to about 20% of the courses. And as I learned that what you really need to learn is how to succeed in tests. This is what I've done in my Technion. So really, I have no clue how is Technion. I barely know how is the classes. I didn't do homework. I just went to the test, and I hope I did okay. And I liked it very much.
You did okay. Talk to us about let's skip forward to M Systems and talk to us about it. You start this company in 1989. This is you're very well known for this, among other things. But talk to us about what was the original idea, what was the problem you were trying to solve, and tell us about the background of why you started it.
You probably expect me to talk now about a team of guys sitting together and have throw ideas and and try it and test and argue. But it's not a real story. And at first you have to remember, 1989 is generation. It's in the past. Companies were established totally different. Don't try to learn from my experience on that. It's a wrong way of doing things. So in 1987, actually, I left the Navy. I said I want to open a company of my own. After almost 8 years in the Navy, I said, company where I'm giving the directions, and actually I have no clue what's a company and what's raising money. You raise flowers, no? And what's a venture capitalist? It's in Hebrew, by the way, they call it hon sikun. It's sikun it's taking risk, and hon it's risk capital. Yeah, what's risk capital? It's risk or capital. It doesn't really match.
Yeah.
So I opened my company without having any clue what I'm going to do there.
Did you have money? You use your own money?
My own money, of course, my own money. Actually,
did you pay your parents or your friends? Or
I had apartment, small apartment, and I put the apartment in the bank against a loan I got from the bank. Actually, at some time, the apartment value was $70,000. It wasn't a great apartment, and the loan was over $100,000. My fear was that one day the bank, the banker will say, "Show me the money," I swear, or I take your apartment, because I couldn't really. It didn't have the right value even, but I knew it's going to be okay. I'm optimistic. That's what brings me here, actually. So anyway, I established the company. We did. The concept was, and don't do it. Concept was, in the day we'll work on project that we'll get from companies. So that's why we can stay alive. In the nights, we will develop the products. So we'll do projects and products at the same time. Bootstrap. Doesn't work. Don't try it. It's bad. You always go after the urgent rather than the important. And the urgent is the guy calling you and say, "Where is the project I ordered 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago? You are late." And we did projects. We didn't do any products. And one of those projects was a small computer with a flash memory, with a RAM disk inside. RAM disk was a RAM with battery backup. And the story is that I went to the States. I showed it to a manager of a company I worked with, another company I worked with. And he said, battery is no good, many reasons. And then flash memory came, and I read about flash memory. And actually, I did have an idea of a product which the name was Education, shape of a cat, keyboard that you can type, for kids, of course. Voice recognition, this was 1988. Voice recognition for few words. I had a child, 1 year old, so I wanted her to play with it. And I wrote a business plan for that. While this manager, the CEO of a military company, came to me after I told him about this new memory with no batteries, and he asked me, "Where is those devices?" And I said, "I'm just writing now the business plan for this product," which of course I didn't write. I wrote a business plan for other products. He said, "That's great. How much money do you need?" I said, "I'm not really interested to develop this product because this is military purposes, solid state drive, flash memory." I just showed him the idea. I didn't really mean to do it. I want to do this education, children, my daughter, yes? So I said, I'm going to give him a huge number. So he'll hear the number of how much money is required to develop it, and he'll say, "Okay, whenever you do it." And all of it was happening while I was eating my lunch. He was standing on front of me, on top of me. "So how much money do you need to develop it?" So I said $300,000. which seems to me these days a big chutzpah, yes? And he said, you know what, come to my office, I'll write you a check. And that's the way the company was established, yes? So nothing heroic.
Wow.
What can I do?
I think it's interesting too that you started it on your own, and you deflect a lot of the strategic and great decisions you've made, or really the things that come from you. I mean, this idea, this optimism that you have, this is very, I would say, very rare, or maybe it's not so rare in great entrepreneurs. But great entrepreneurs have this ability to suspend reality. You know, we talk about Steve Jobs, the reality distortion field. And I have seen across the world great entrepreneurs do this. This ability to be optimistic, and it seems almost to suspend the reality of maybe what's happening around you, but to just look for the good and to not think about the problems and to push ahead. Where does that come from, and how do you do that? How do you push out all the terrible things that are happening in your startup right at this moment and focus on the good things or the things that you need to do to be successful? How do you do that?
Well, there is no formula. It's you are optimistic because probably you are born optimistic, and I'm not sure whether it's a good feature or a bad feature. You have to be realistic. Yes, Guy, be realistic. I do state that when you want to be an entrepreneur and a good one, you have to be very deterministic. You have to hit your head against the wall until the wall breaks. Sometimes you break your head. I'll give you an answer, and the answer is not a great answer, maybe not the one that you would like as well. If you ask me about a good manager, an entrepreneur has to be a good manager, because if he won't be a good manager, he might establish a company, but end of the day, it's execution, he will fail over time. So idea is not good enough. You have to have a plan, you have to be a good manager. And a good manager actually is a lot of a sort of a decision machine. You have to take risks, but you have to understand the risks. When I took the risk while I was establishing my first company, of course I did see the picture. I did have some sort of other directions. I always look at what's my backup, what could I do, and basically you need to be optimistic, but understand at the same time the situation, what might not go wrong, it might not go well, and still decide correctly. Maybe don't take more people if you don't have the resources. Don't rush to development if you don't really understand what's the product. Don't go to a market without having the marketing funds. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, you have to be very optimistic. At the same time, you have to be to take the right decisions. It's a combination, and there's no formula for the combination.
I think too, as you describe that, that's kind of the bootstrap mentality of, grow as you can grow, right? Hire as you have enough money and you have means to do that.
When you are a good machine maker, a good taking decisions machine, so if you optimize this process of the way to take decisions, you don't use a rule of thumbs like raise when you can raise, grow when you can grow, because you have to take decisions, and a good entrepreneur and good manager is someone that faces the need to take a decision every day, every hour, maybe several times an hour. Clearly, it's okay if he makes mistakes. I do many mistakes. I did many mistakes, but in the important things, he has to take the right decisions. Sometimes he need to to ask people, sometimes he need to gather information, sometimes he need to allow himself to take a decision which is a mistake, so in the next one, the big one, he'll be more correct, but it's a process. I'm trying to describe how it's maybe what's in my mind.
That's great. That's really insightful. Tell us a little bit, how did so you started in 1989, your company is sold in 2006, I believe. Tell us, with the USB, and some of this technology, what along the way, where did the big breakthroughs come, and what are the big kind of moments in that? It was a long process, so I'm sure you had lots of moments, but what were the things that were big differences and deal breakers for you and your company along that path?
Well, first, there is no 1 minute, there is no one point where we made a change. There were many of them, and each one could influence differently. What I can say about the process is what happened to us is we learned. As we moved along, we learned more. As we understood, as we grew up as a company, we became better company. I do believe that the companies that succeed are the ones that are really strive to survive, continue to learn all through the path of growth, and clearly become better, strive to be better. So actually, the amazing thing is that in the first 12 years, we grew from zero to revenues of $45 million. In the last 5 years of existence, we grew from $45 million revenues to over $1 billion. And the bigger we were, we felt better with the ability to continue and grow, and we just did a lot of things right. So no special moment. No, there were many small ones. Each one is a step toward the success.
That's an interesting point too, because a lot of entrepreneurs say, well, you know, they'll read about somebody online or they'll hear about somebody and they'll say, I want to be in that place. I want to be that man or that woman, and I want my company to be there. But I think a lot of people don't realize if you were put in that situation, you wouldn't even be ready to run that company. You would totally blow it. And I think it's so interesting that we often, there's this phrase in the U.S. of, you know, I was a 10-year overnight success. And, you know, you worked your way from, as you say, from thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions, to $1 billion. Mm-hmm. And you kind of grew with that process, I assume.
Absolutely. Actually, I'll get back to the beginning of what you said, of people saying, I would like to be in his place. His place, a place of a manager in a large company is not such a great place to be in. I'll tell you one story. Yeah. Shall I? Please. Okay. So I'll give one scenario to get you to the understanding how difficult it is, even for when it is large company. This is 2004, I believe. We are selling USB flash drives all over the world. We're selling to Best Buy. Best Buy was actually one of our largest customers. And one day I'm getting a call from, or one of my guys getting a call from the VP of, Director of Quality at Best Buy. What happened? One of your USB flash drives went on fire. Wow, went on fire. We are checking backward. There are about 2.5 million units we sold to Best Buy. Clearly, once it gets to me, it gets very fast to me. As a manager, all the bad news should go directly and very fast to you. My response, of course, what we have to do, you have to try to imitate, see what's the problem. Two teams, one team which does it theoretically, looks at the drawings, look at the software, whatever. One team which does it on a practical level, try to do shortcuts between variety of pins, you know, and see what could create such a situation. Several hours, none of the teams are getting into a conclusion. Finally, a team comes to me and says, we found an issue. There was an issue. Well, when you develop a chip, you develop shorts in each one of the pins. So if there is a shortcut between pins, it won't go fire, just it will stop working. And in the process of the testing of the chip, someone took out those shorts and he forgot to put them in. Wow. But they say we analyze it even more, but even without the shorts, it doesn't look so bad. And meanwhile, the guys who tried practically, they don't find anything. Means they try to connect every pin to every, a day. After a day, our device comes. It doesn't look burned. It's okay. We plug it into the computer. You know what? If you after 5 minutes, if you put your hand and hold it very, very strong, it's warm. Totally not burnt out. That's okay. I call the guy at Best Buy. He tells me, I tell him, it's okay. We had such a mistake. It's not a big issue. Don't worry. He said, okay, I'm very happy to hear about it. Please send us a written report. We do it. Or we don't succeed to do it. We don't have enough time to do it because after 2 days, his boss is calling us. This is the VP QA of Best Buy. He says, guy, I heard about this problem, but actually, I'm now holding in my hand a USB flash drive, which is real burnt. This one went on fire. It's ashes in my hand. Wow. He calls me, he says, Mr. Moran, you understand the consequences. I want to get within 24 hours an answer. What do you want us to do? And he hangs up. Now what do you do? What do you do?
Retest.
I don't sleep at night.
Recall.
I don't sleep at night because if I do recall of 2.5 million units, I'll go bankruptcy. Yes, clearly. The company is totally crashed. There's no chance to survive out such a recall. If I'll keep it like that and tell you, it's okay, it's a 1 out of, that won't happen, don't worry. I had really those. I'm a guy who dreams. So I dream. So think about sometimes bad dreams. That's right. Yes, I work very hard, so I don't sleep. But think about the situation dream about situation where it goes on fire, the whole the table goes on fire, the whole room goes on fire. The kids are there, and I'm the one who should be responsible for such a phenomena. It's a murder. Yes. What do you do? So everybody is working on trying to imitate again on why. People are not working, not sleeping. They just work in the labs. They find nothing. And finally, we got the USB flash drive that was really burnt, and it was of the competitors. But that's the kind of decisions you have to take, and they are not easy. You have to fire sometimes your friends. You have to say after a huge development, which is almost finished, you have to say, guys, this is not working. We have to stop it. We have to forget about what we invested and the loss and the promises and whatever, and move to the new stuff. So it's part of the life, and it's not easy life. Still, it's don't get me that this guy talks about it's when you create something finally and you create success. That's amazing. It's worthwhile all the efforts, all the troubles, all the bad feelings, bad minutes, and do it.
That was an amazing story.
Thanks.
I was like, it was like a Hollywood movie. I was like, what's going to happen?
Okay.
It's something else that's very unique to you is that, and I have interviewed probably 100 of the top entrepreneurs and venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. The majority of entrepreneurs, when they have a company that is very successful and that they found or that they're the CEO of, they then kind of stop building companies. They stop building products, and a lot of them become full-time investors. But a lot of them just don't do anything. And there's a few that haven't. The Nolan Bushnell, who founded Atari, Trip Hawkins, who founded Electronic Arts. These guys have continued to innovate, continued to go on. And this is something, you're a lifelong entrepreneur. And I wonder, why are you still an entrepreneur? What still drives you at this point? And how do you find the energy to continue to build and continue to innovate, 30 years later? How do you do that?
First of all, I see it as a mission, and it's a matter of why do you live your life, and what do you do in your life, and some people. By the way, there's no bad and good. I'm not trying to really teach anybody or talk to anybody about how he should live his life, but I see my life as a life that I came here in order to make this world a bit better. If you take your life like that, you try until you die to push it and make this world better. And how can you make this world better? So you can do it by sometimes smiling to other people, which is great, by the way. You can do it by becoming a teacher, which is great. You can do it by cleaning the street, which is very important as well. So what I know, what's in my capabilities is to invent, to establish companies, to work with young people, to bring technology or combine technology with needs. And this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'll do all my life, probably.
Do you have a formula for entrepreneurs to be successful? Is there anything that, you kind of follow or you suggest early entrepreneurs?
Hey, 80% of the people here came to hear the formula for success. But first, no formula for success, and there won't be. But clearly, to become a successful entrepreneur, there are a few things. You need, first of all, to dream. It's part of it is dreaming. If you don't dream, don't go there. You have to dream, to see the picture of the product. How great is it doing, how with helping people or answer people's needs. You have to be stubborn. You have to be deterministic. Deterministic, stubborn are not the same. Deterministic because you have to tell yourself, I want to do it. I know that it's costly. I know it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to do it. If you don't have this sort of a fire within you, of saying that I want to do it, whatever it takes, you won't succeed. You have to be determined. You have to be very. I'm looking for the right wording here. Very
persistent. Is that it?
Very persistent. Yeah, right. Thanks. Very persistent. Persistency, by the way, is not the same thing as determinism. Determinism is the statement that you want to get there. Persistency is the fact that you are hitting the wall and you hit it again and you hit it again. And maybe if we need to finish, I'll finish with one demonstration of what's the meaning of it. The way I try to describe the business of establishing companies, it's like being in a hall with 100 doors, okay? Where for each door, there is a 1% probability that the door would open and you can get out of this dead hole. 1% per door, but no relation between one door to another. So in this place, there could be many doors or some doors that can be opened, or 0 doors. Now, I get to ask people, what's the probability of them to get out of this place? Remember, 100 doors, 1% each. I'll ask you as well. You have to give me an answer, okay? Okay. And I get variety of answers, and it's amazing to see answers CFOs are answering, CFOs that CEOs are answering, and answers that entrepreneurs are answering. What's your number, by the way? I know it's very tough, but just, 100 doors, each one 1%, totally independent. If you try all of these doors, what would be your chance to get out?
There's a chance.
There is a chance. It's higher than 1%, because if you had one door, it would be 1%. There are many. It's not 100% because it might be that all the doors are locked. Give me a number.
You just want a number?
Yeah.
I don't know, 1%?
No, it's more than 1%. In one door, it's going to be 1%. Okay. But there are 100 doors.
I don't know.
So a number.
5%.
50-50.
50. Okay, you say 5%. Anybody else?
99.
Vicky, what do you say?
100%.
100%. 80.
99%.
99.
2%. It's enough percent to try.
Guys, we heard about 10 answers. The right answer is 63%. Okay, go home, think about it. It's 63%. And I do believe that when you establish a company, you have, if it's a normal company, I'm not talking about something which totally is a disaster, your chances to succeed are 63%. Now, why it doesn't happen? Because you have 100 doors. In each door, you really have to try, push it very hard. Some entrepreneurs getting to the door, they don't really push, they just like that, didn't open. Maybe it could be open, they didn't push enough. Then there are 100 doors. They have to try the first one, and it's not the right door, it's locked. They try the second one, they locked. If they are very good, if they listen to advices like my advices, When they get to the third door, they are pushing the door with all their power. And what happens? Locked.
Handbrakes.
Handbrakes. They go to the fourth door. What happens there? Try again. It's painful. It's already painful. You go to the fifth door. It's another VC, which let you wait 30 minutes. Then he comes in. You come in, and he's busy with his phone while you are talking. Yes. And when
We've been in that meeting before.
yeah, everybody here, including me. So that's the fifth one, and the sixth one is what happens when you get to the 24th door. Most of the entrepreneurs stopped pushing. Stop pushing. You have to do the 100 doors, and on each one of them to push very hard in order to get to 63%. It doesn't mean that you are guaranteed to be successful, but I can guarantee you, in a way, that if you really try very hard, you get 63%. You may be in a position that you try easily the first one, it opens. It happens, what's his name there? This guy, Facebook?
Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg did it, yes. First door, he pushed it, opened, great. But it's incorrect. He's a very smart guy. He did amazing stuff. But in generally, you have to work very hard in order to be successful, and I do believe that each one of you can do it.
Hey, Dov, a big, huge round of applause. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Let's take a few questions. Do we have any questions? If that's okay,
Sure.
do you have a couple more minutes? Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand these days you're also acting as an active investor angel in some startups. I would love if you can tell a bit about your
Sure.
criteria, which startups you find interesting, which fields.
Okay. First, I must say I hate this name angel because I'm not an angel. Sometimes I'm very tough. Sometimes I'm just a person. I do have today about 15 companies. About 6, 7 are companies that I established myself or established with other guys, and the rest are investment that I'm doing with a team of people. That one of them is with me here. We work very hard to find these companies and later on to work with these companies, trying to make them get them into a success. The criteria, it's a combination of the right persons, the right idea, and whether I can help or not. If I cannot help, I won't be involved. If it doesn't bring a value as well, a real value to the world, I won't be involved. That's very simple. My email is dov.moran@comigo.com. You are invited to send whatever. I'm not promising very fast reply because I have a lot of stuff, and my 4 guys as well are flooded. But we are doing the best to answer fast and to see the entrepreneurs and to pick the right things.
And the stage? Early stage?
Only seed. I do go into a company. I don't invest a lot of money, but I'm very much involved in the DNA of the company, in establishing it, in making it larger, and then I invest more money as I go on with it, as the company grows.
Hello. After you have some ideas, something you want to do, what's you do? What's the first steps you do to make it happen?
So what I do, and again, there is no formula again. I dream about it. I try to think to how people are using it, what they do with it, how they use it. I tell my family, I tell my wife, I tell my kids. Kids are amazing source for is they interesting or not interesting. I tell my friends. I talk with many people. I get the people feedback and try to make it in a way that when someone tells you it's not good, you don't argue with him. You don't tell him he's an idiot. Yes, how come he doesn't see the big idea and he doesn't see it? Maybe it's not so big. I try to look at similar things that exist in the internet because, it's very sad. But unfortunately, you're very smart. There are many other smart people in the world. And if there is a need, which is clear, many people will see it and maybe will see it before you. So if there is something similar to that, I won't go into it. And it's a process. You go with, you talk with, try to talk with guys. If it's related to, let's say, medicine, talk with professors, with physicians, yes? Get to hear their opinion. Don't trust their opinion too much, but they could tell you a lot of things that you don't really see.
Two short questions. One is, what's your vision about the next Flash? Because Flash is already, how many? Almost 20 years.
Yeah, of course. Flash is more. Flash was actually invented first time in 1985 by a guy from Toshiba that was got from his invention $5,000 and then was fired. If I would know what's the next thing, guys, I won't waste my time sitting here now. I'm joking. I do believe that that medical devices and the connection of medical to the cloud is the next thing. Everything recorded, everything in the cloud, great analysis of what happens to people. Nothing, all the situation today where people gather information devices, where the data doesn't go to the cloud, it's amazing that it still exists. I know that FDA, FDA is putting, or was putting a lot of hurdles from the connection of medical devices to phones. This is absolutely must change, and of course a lot of data people will wear or will have in their body a lot of sensors in their body. I have a plastic part. By the way, 2 months ago, I went to a surgery. I had עדשות, no contacts. החליפו לי את העדשות, just. It's cataract, yes. I had a cataract. Cataract is where your original part of the body is not, it stops working well. And in a surgery that takes 3 minutes, cost a lot, but 3 minutes, they break your part of your body, they take it out, they put a piece of plastic, and it works amazingly. And I see much better. Actually, I had glasses before, I seen without glasses. So we actually begin to see a process, and by the way, it's not very, very new. It's it's tens of years that they are doing this surgery of actually replacing your original parts by plastic parts. I'm a bionic man, that's right. So I do see a situation where you're going to have in your body other parts. They're going to talk with your phone. They're going to data will go to the cloud, analyze.
So complementary. Do you really feel that IoT will be part of the revolution?
IoT is already part of the revolution. Everything connected, everything reported, much healthier life. Yes, absolutely. That's it.
That was really interesting. I mean, we were here sitting for about 40 minutes and nobody asked about Modu.
It's okay, but by the way, I have to say something about Modu.
I would hope that would happen.
I just would like to say something. Modu is a failure. Modu is something where I failed. That's a company established after M Systems. But 2 things happened after Modu. First one is that about 30 companies came out of Modu with people who worked at Modu in a variety of things. So Modu was actually sort of an incubator for guys that saw that there is nothing to fear from, and we can do it. The message was inside the company was we can do it, we can do it, and a lot of great ideas, which part of them were actually done within Modu when Modu was alive, came out then to the market and created great success. The second thing, there was a company who acquired the patents of Modu, and this is Google. And about a few months ago, Google announced that they are going to bring to the market something called Project ARA, A-R-A, looking for Project ARA, which is actually the whole Modu concept with Modu patents. And well, I didn't succeed to see it as something that I generate, but it will arrive to the market, and I hope it's going to be successful.